The Chicago Bulls are making moves. We're going to be talking about their recent release of Onuralp Bitim and Kenny Lofton Jr. and what this means for the Chicago Bulls as they continue to try to build out their roster before the NBA season starts. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so the Chicago Bulls are making moves. They have just released two players about a couple hours ago. We got this news, but let's go ahead and jump into the first player that was released, and that is Onuralp Bitim. And I think that Onuralp Bitim is in a tough situation coming into this because he did get injured last year. I believe it was an eye injury. He had to get the surgery. And I think that that ultimately probably costed Onuralp because we don't know how much of a summer he got to get in. Not sure that, he really got a chance to ramp up for this season like he would want to. And we knew that it was going to be one that was going to be challenging for him because we had seen so many signings with THT, Kenny Lofton Jr., EJ Liddell, and there was always this talk about getting that last roster spot. And so, I love Onuralp. I love the energy that he provided. I think that in his 23 games that he appeared in last season, I thought I saw some things that would definitely him to stay around with the Chicago Bulls. Mainly, I love the fact that he was able to knock down the three-point shot, which is something that I think that this team is absolutely going to need. And defensively, he's definitely not a liability out there. I think that if you go back and look at some of these highlight clips and things that he had, he's certainly one that can play the passing lane. He is an athletic player. I believe that he was in the dunk contest overseas and where he had come from before he got to the Chicago Bulls. So the athleticism is there. And I know that oftentimes we do a lot of player comparisons. And to me, Onuralp reminds me of a Max Strus type of player. And so, I think that there is going to be some success for Onuralp at some point. I think it's just going to come down to the right situation. But he absolutely is going to be a player that certainly I think he's going to continue to get better at knocking down open shots and things like that. He's going to get better offensively as far as attacking closeouts and some of those things like that. The athleticism that I talked about is definitely there with finishing at the rim. I think defensively, that's one of the things he's probably going to want to get better at. But certainly, I think that, again, it's nothing that Onuralp did. I think that, you just had some players that came into this situation that were extremely hungry, and they just went out there and they got it. And, I know that there's not enough minutes in a game to take a look at everybody, which is something we're going to definitely talk about here in a moment. And I think that that's one of the situations with Onuralp. But the Chicago Bulls go ahead and let Onuralp Bitim go. And so next, as we continue on, they also let go of Kenny Lofton Jr. And so, the thing with Kenny Lofton Jr. is this. He was coming in, he was undersized. He had some moments in the NBA, much like Adama Sanogo. Like, he had a moment where he has gone out there and shown that, like, man, he can absolutely maybe be a factor in the NBA. And he looked like he certainly is a player that is above the G League. Like, I think that he's excelled there. And I think it is time for Kenny Lofton Jr. to get a chance in the NBA. And so I'm a little shocked with this one because, I don't think we saw enough from him. I think that I would have liked to see him a little bit more to see if he could bring that physicality into this particular team. I think that this is a situation where it needed physicality. It needed somebody that was going to get down there in the paint. And I was looking for him to have a game much like Adama Sanogo had, where he went out there and he had a double-double game against the Milwaukee Bucks, against Bobby Portis, against Lopez, against Giannis. And you saw that, as an undersized player, that physicality still translated, and it absolutely makes Billy Donovan think that, this is a player that we would probably feel comfortable with if we have to put him in rotations. And so, I don't know if Kenny Lofton Jr. necessarily got that chance to prove that. I really personally think he can. But again, I think it just came down to just the situation and what was going on in Chicago. And I think, with him, it's just more so that other players really stepped up. And so, when I'm talking about some of these other players that stepped up, you're looking at Modest Buzelis, and you look and you see just how hungry he is. You're seeing the it factor from him. Julian Phillips, I think, coming in, playing the way that he has played with the confidence that he is playing in, and then also to Dalen Terry, like it made it really tough to get Kenny Lofton Jr. in there because these players are playing so well. And I think Billy Donovan is definitely going to be depending on them to be in some rotations and things like that for this year. And so I think because of that, you see a player like Kenny Lofton Jr. who got pushed back to the side here. And lastly, with both of these players, let's be honest, I think the one player that has made it tough on both of them, well, it's got to be THT. I think that THT has come in. He has been on a mission this preseason. And I must say, I hope this continues if he does officially make the roster, which I really anticipate that he does, because he has played spectacular. In just this last game, he had 17 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. I talked about his willingness to shoot the three-pointer, and that's something that I hadn't necessarily seen since he's been in Utah. But the fact that he's letting it happen, and I love the fact that he has shown that he can be a player that you can depend on in clutch moments. You often forget about the fact that he did play with the Los Angeles Lakers and he was a part of their championship team. And so, this is one of the things that I did love about Alex Caruso being on the team, is that you get that championship experience. And so I think you see that with THT. He's just hungry. He wants to be out there. And I really believe that if THT is given some minutes, he could really help this team. And this kind of goes into this whole thing of what's going on with Billy Donovan and this dilemma. I've talked about that on the last couple videos, is like, with THT, and then now you see what you're going to get from Lonzo Ball. He looks like he is hungry, not just to help the Chicago Bulls, but he is hungry to continue his career. So you have got to imagine that every game is going to mean everything for these players who are fighting to keep their careers alive. And so there's a huge dilemma here in Chicago. How do you continue to, get these rotations correct to where you can get players to go out there, continue to grow, and then also to you're trying to get to a point where you're trying to still reshape this roster out, because it is nowhere near where it has to be in order to be a contender down the line. And so let me know in the comments what you think about these moves from Chicago. Do you feel like, the Chicago Bulls are going to be making some more moves at some point? I know that we still don't know what the Bulls are going to do with EJ Liddell. We're wondering, is he going to stay around? Is he going to move to the G League? What is the situation here with that? And then also too, with THT, with Lonzo Ball, I know that there is a lot of hype around these players. Let me know what your thoughts were. I thought that they had some really good preseason showings, and I'm hoping that Lonzo Ball has no setbacks. And I'm curious to see what we're going to see Friday night against the Cleveland Cavaliers. But anyhow, I just want to thank everybody out there for liking, subscribing, and sharing the content. It means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest as we try to reach 5,000 subscribers before the NBA season starts. And I want to let you know that 64.2% of you that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel. So make sure that you continue to mash on that subscribe button for us, as it means a lot as we try to reach that goal. Look, even though the Chicago Bulls have not figured out anything really that they want to do with this roster, and we're coming up on the NBA season, getting ready to start, I am still saying go Bulls, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.